Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Carlos Orizos Piso. Welcome, everyone, to our second day of the conference. If you've participated yesterday, welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed the first day. And if you've just arrived to our little theater here, welcome to Larissa. I hope you had a safe trip. My name is Stephanie Dreyer, and it's a great pleasure to be your host again for today. If you have already connected to the Wi-Fi, please, we have our landing page. You've received probably the link with the email when you registered. If you want to ask us some questions later on for the panel discussions, feel welcome just to drop us a line, and then we hopefully can also present your questions to the panel. As we are pressed for time, I know our first speaker is going to be leaving after the session right away. I will start with the introductions. Maria Vasilacou is an experienced, inspiring urban leader devoted to open, inclusive, and green cities. And you can tell I dressed up for climate change today, so it's all about green energy and green renewable, sort of solution. All right, first applause there. So I thought I'd wear the topic today. Maria served as Vienna's vice mayor, responsible for urban planning, traffic and transport, climate protection, energy and public participation for almost 9 years. And after leaving office, she founded Vienna Solutions, a network of experienced Viennese urban experts and practitioners with whom she cooperates, building flexible teams to deliver complex urban projects. And Maria works worldwide as an independent advisor on urban transformation, and since 2019, Maria is also a member of the EU Horizon Missions Experts Board on climate-neutral smart cities. So please welcome her to the stage. She will give you her take on climate-neutral smart cities.
So, good morning, everybody. I have only 15 minutes, and I have a lot to tell you. So there will be some very heavy slides here.
You can also
I will be focusing only on the very basics of every slide. And don't get stressed. In case you're interested, I can share them later on with anybody who would like to. So I will be talking about the major climate transition. I will be focusing on challenges and possible responses. So I will be speaking more or less about cities and how they can become climate neutral. It's the metropolitan century, as we all know. Cities are growing extremely rapidly. And I think that the crucial question is it about managed growth or is it about mismanaged growth? So how do we use growth, urban growth, as an opportunity? The backdrop, of course, of the Paris Agreement, the 17 SDGs, is there as well when we think about managed growth. We have entered the second phase of agglomeration. We are facing severe externalities, most notably congestion, air pollution, housing crisis, just to give you a few examples, and at the same time, high controversy. So, actually, what it is that we want? We want inclusive cities, I believe. We want cities that are places for life. And we want cities that successfully tackle the transition towards climate neutrality. So if this is the vision, how do we proceed from vision to mission? Now, the European Union, and especially the European Commission, following Mariana Mazzucato's advice to adopt a mission-oriented approach, created 5 mission areas, one of them on climate neutral and smart cities. After having worked for approximately 2 years, a board of 15 experts to whom I belonged designed the mission and proposed the design and the mission for 100 climate neutral cities by 2030, by and for the citizens. Right now, we're at the stage where these cities have been chosen. They are more than 100, and what's really awesome is that it was more than 360 cities. Actually, it was more than 400 cities that participated altogether in the call, but more than 360 cities were eligible. Now, before explaining what mission orientation is in long terms, I would say that there is one basic issue here, And this is that it is about a clear and measurable direction, a clear and measurable target. That is the overarching target over every other effort, which means that all efforts should actually contribute towards this target, or at least not be counteractive to this target. Okay? And then there are other aspects, but please keep this in mind, that a mission means that a city has this overarching target and does everything to achieve it, or does not anything that would be against it. And again, if we look into mission orientation, it's about turning barriers into drivers. So it's about large-scale experimentation and innovation. It's about multi-layered innovation. So it's about a holistic approach, not thinking things in silos, but combining them together towards this one target. It's about new forms of governance, and it's about a new economic model for climate action. We will be looking into all this in a minute. So, a new model of governance. So, if a city wants to become climate neutral, clearly it needs entities, dedicated entities to do so, and it needs multi-tier collaboration between the regional, the national, the local, the very, very sub-local level in some cases, depending on how a city is organized. A new role for the citizens, because if we want to become climate neutral, we all know we're never going to make it only with the public hand. We need them to take action as well. A climate city contract, which means that we do not only need a plan, a climate action plan, describing all actions that the city will take, but we need to actually look into integrated funding and financing, and we need to work together with all relevant stakeholders, and all relevant stakeholders need to also commit to this jointly developed and shared plan, and again, an integrated form of funding and financing. Or as the city of Ghent put it, it's about participation and leadership, social climate policy, direct and long-term benefits, the city as a catalyst, a new role for the city, and it's about research and innovation, because there are many things that we don't know yet how they will work. We need to develop them on our way towards climate neutrality. So it's about managing the transition from the what to the how. What is climate neutral first? Well, I would like to remind everybody that this is challenge number one. Climate neutral means that every activity within the borders of a city, within the area of the city, has to produce zero carbon emissions, or nearly zero carbon emissions. And whatever are the remains need to be compensated. So it's not about a small neighborhood, and it's not about a pilot project. It's about every activity within, again, a city, nearly towards zero. And then if we look at, and what does this mean? We can see it's about stationary energy, it's about buildings, it's about transport, waste management, industrial processes, agricultural production, just to give you a few examples. But there is good news. Good news is, for cities, that actually, if you look at energy in buildings, and if you look at mobility, you have approximately almost everything. All the rest accounts for 13 to 15%. So if you focus on these two aspects, you already have managed to do a lot, which is good news, because at least mobility is within the decision powers of cities most of the times. And they clearly need to collaborate with national or regional government when it comes to buildings and energy. But they have one key in their hands, and that is mobility. Now let's look at, what does this mean really? I mean, yes, okay, you stand here, you say blah, blah, blah. It's about buildings, it's about mobility, but what is it really, okay? So buildings, let's look at the perspectives. This means that really all buildings within a city need to be retrofitted. And this means that we need to introduce energy zoning, which means we do not only give permissions as to where to build and how high to build, but also what type of energy needs to be used. Example given. And it means that we have to combine, in many cases, technical innovation with heritage buildings, just to give you another example. So this means then using new urban quarters as an opportunity for transformation and repair, and it means transforming historical neighborhoods, which is, if you ask me, the biggest challenge. And then we arrive at challenge number 2. So it's about managed systemic transitions. They are many. And again, I'm not going to talk everything that's on these slides. Whoever is interested, I will share and you can take a look at them. I'm just trying to say that in this case, if you ask me, the biggest challenge is from public and corporate to individual. Because think of Greece, more than 80% owner-occupied flats, and then we know what challenge it is to reach 100% of the buildings retrofitted by 2030. So just one of the challenges we're facing here. Mobility, which is the city's backbone. And here again, what is smart? I mean, look at this. This is Beijing's mobility steering unit. I was there. It was like enterprise, okay, space shuttle enterprise. It's something that everybody would dream of, having all this real-time data all the time. And yet, they are in congestion all day and all night. And clearly you find out that it's not only about data and it's not only about technology. It's about planning and it's about here major transitions as well. It's not enough. So, let's look at the perspectives. It's about a massive wave of new infrastructures. Think of Europe at the beginning of the 20th century and how much has been invested in huge infrastructures back then. I'm telling you, we're standing at the turn of a new century and we need another massive wave of infrastructure investment. But then it's not only about infrastructures, okay? It's about services. It's about providing, example given, public transport access to everybody within a city. That is convenient, that is affordable. And it's about wide-scale traffic calming, which, these are just examples also of the challenges here, which, by the way, is controversial. So we all know from our cities that traffic calming is a way to move forward. It's for the benefit of local economy, it's for the benefit of the climate transition, it's for the benefit of life quality for everybody. And yet it is controversial. Just one of the challenges we need to face and respond to here. So yes, mobility mobilizes. Everybody has an opinion on that. This is just something, a picture I've taken from an internet consultation we have had, and it's always the same, where you have the most stickers is mobility. So even if we say it's mobility and it's the buildings within a city, alone these two issues, of course, mean that these cities have to face enormous challenges. And then challenge number 3, building capacity. So cities clearly need dedicated teams and need know-how transfer. Then overcoming national and regional and local dynamics. So it's about multi-tier collaboration from the national level again, with the regional level, with the local level. So it's about open governance, which means that the city takes up a new role. The city leads the transition process. The city manages multi-stakeholders. The city engages the entire ecosystem and leads and steers towards the achievement of this one goal that we have. And most notably, if we move forward, challenge number 5, it's about financial needs and financing. Now we have estimated that the financial needs will be about approximately 10,000 euro per citizen until the year 2030. And where do these means come from? Well, if it comes to the Commission, less than 10% should come from the public hand, Everything else should be investment from the private sector, and part of it at least should be also investment on behalf of citizens. Think of, again, retrofitting example given 100% of owner-occupied housing units, and you know immediately this is just one of the many cases where private investment also on behalf of citizens will be necessary. I think that this will differ from, from parts of Europe to other parts of Europe, but still we need to keep it in mind. So that means PPP welcome. That means that PPP, if you ask me, is rehabilitated. Because in the end, climate neutrality is the world's largest and most ambitious public-private partnership. It cannot be achieved in any other way than that. Which leads me to challenge number 6, from pilot to scale. So, it's not, again, about small pilot projects here and there within a city. It's about combining new ideas and holistic, systemic, strategic transformation towards one direction. And I think if you ask me, this may prove to be, on the long term, one of the major challenges. Because upscaling something that works well in one place, in one small part of the city, to the entirety of the city, and then to other parts of Europe, is something we'll need still to learn altogether how to do it. Challenge number 7, managing risk. That's good, I'm approaching the end. That means what we're not allowed to do in cities, and what I was not allowed to do very easily when I was vice mayor in Vienna, is to manage, to finance risky endeavors. So, example given, we knew that we have geothermy potential, but it was very difficult to drill because we were not 100% sure that we will find as much as we need and in the quality that we needed. So this is just an example of financing risk, which we need to take though, otherwise it will not be possible. End of time. So challenge number 8, implementation, delivering from plans to projects, which means thinking, example given about logistics. If you want to retrofit 100% of the units, you need material, you need the people, you need the technicians to do it. You need to plan and organize this. Community-driven action, so giving citizens opportunities and giving them, supporting them so that they can develop their own action. And challenge number 10, which is the last one, managing controversy. The public opinion, favorable public opinion. So these people here were actually protesting against the bus, just to show that it is not so easy and it cannot be that easily done. I am done. I just wanted to say as a last sentence that the European Commission is supporting cities through 2 major platforms right now, net zero cities and capacities, to respond to all these challenges. And I'm really proud, and I would like to congratulate all mayors that have decided to move towards this very ambitious direction for the future of us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, for starting this session as the session leader and also providing us with some insights. I would like now all the other presenters for the speeches to come up already to the seats. We have Ela Topel, we have Konstantina Zakari, Laura Ribotta, and Alessandra Barbieri. So if you want to join us already on the panel, and then Elad can actually come to me already because he's the next speaker who's coming up. So climate change is real. The world has seen more catastrophes, harsher temperature changes, storms, wildfires, droughts, and floods. We need to go carbon neutral as soon as we can, as Maria just elaborated. And how can cities achieve that goal? Elad Topel from the municipality of Elad will share with you his city's strategic program to get there. And Elad Topel is the smart city manager of the municipality of Elad. And one of the greatest achievements to date is that the city's daytime electricity is 100% from renewable resources. And Eilat will reveal more achievements, how the city used its unique and challenging location for driving creativity and growing the economy. So please welcome Eilat Toppel.
At any given moment, we have about 20,000 planes in the air. Each day, there's about 20 million passengers in the air. One of these passengers is me, of course, coming here, and maybe some of you. And as said before, if we won't take action as individuals, maybe it will be one of the first times in history that my kids, the quality of life of my kids will be lower than mine. At 4:10 we have the Coffee World Cafe, so you are welcome to join us at the Eilat table to discuss exactly these matters. So my name is Eilat Toppel. I'm a Smart City Coordinator from the city of Eilat in Israel. The Eilat is located at the bottom south of the country, near the borders with Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. Eilat was established in 1949. It was a very small village at the beginning, hyper-arid desert area at the shores of the Red Sea. You can see a picture from 1963 to date. And we've been developed quite a lot since then. The city, a few years back, 10 years ago, because it's a very peripheral city located on hyper-arid region, it's analyze what it can do to diversify work and to bring more quality people, residents to the city. One of the problems we have, it's a city of about 60,000 residents and 3 million tourists a year, which is a big gap that we need to overcome, and also 80% of the residents in the city work in the tourist industry. So as you can imagine, during COVID, during the first quarantine, there was more than 80% unemployment in the city when it was closed down. So the city, for a few years already, analyzed and tried to understand what it can do to utilize or to improve its relative advantage that we have. And I will show it in a minute, but also relating to our previous lecture, Eilat also was elected as one of the 112 cities to become carbon neutral by 2030, looking at all aspects in the city, of course. This is a picture of Eilat from about the 1950s. As you can see, the airport of the city was just built, was declared by the first Prime Minister of Israel, David Ben-Gurion. There was one hotel, few houses, very low population, and this is Eilat today, the same region. So, and going forward towards 2050, Eilat is expected to double its population, same almost in everywhere in Israel. And one of the questions that we have in mind is how you can prepare to that, how you can get ready to serve the population in the city and the tourists with the same quality, at least as we have today, when the population is going to double itself. Looking at the infrastructure, like wastewater, electricity, waste removal, water, all of that, transportation. So looking at that, you have models, you have planners, you can plan ahead and say, okay, today I'm 60,000, in 2050 will be about 100,000, I can handle that. It's manageable. But then what happens when you put inside also climate change? And then you have more flash floods, or more times that you don't have rain at all, extreme weather condition. And then what about the infrastructure? Will it hold along in the high summer? Already today, at certain times of the year, when the temperature are too high, getting above 40 degrees Celsius, the local electricity network just drop down. So what will happen when the population grow, and we have also climate change, and when you put inside something that is unpredictable, how you can manage that? So back to our competitive advantages and how we decided to cope with these questions. One is renewable energy. Eilat is more than 1,850 kilowatt hour per kilowatt a year. That's a very high number in the world. And we have a lot of area. So we started convincing or helping entrepreneurs to put more solar fields, as well as covering all the roofs in the city with PVs, to get to as much as possible production during daytime. As I said at the beginning, we reached the point that we have more than 100%. And now we're starting to experiment with storage, and I will show that in a minute. One of the things that I said before is diversifying the work in Eilat, the jobs opportunity, both to attract more people to the city, but also to lower the risk of unemployment during a crisis, such as the COVID. So we, again, because of the Red Sea and the research institute that we have in the city and the large area, we decided to promote aquaculture and biotechnology marine park north of the city, and we actually managed to pass a government decision that will support that with more than 170 million shekels a few months ago, and the actual park is now being built. Eilat is a peripheral city, but has a very high demand, with high demand for tourism. We all the time sought and look out for other cities in the world, or in Israel, on Tel Aviv, or Herzliya, or Jerusalem, or other places in the world, and so we need more high-tech, right? We'll bring high-tech, we'll bring big factories, we'll diversify the work, and as much as we tried, we never succeed. And one of the processes that we done in the last few years was to understand what we are, but more importantly, what we are not. Eilat is a tourist city, and it will stay a tourist city. And maybe, or now we know for sure, that's one of our advantages, or relative advantages, because with all the main hotel networks in the city and all the tourists, we can do a lot of innovation, and we can promote other kinds of tourism in the city to make the tourism more accessible for different kind of population in the world and in Israel, or to develop new application for tourism in the city, and on and on. And I will show an example of that in later on. I will skip some slides just to make sure that I'm on time, but the city builds now a strategy and master plan in all of the different aspects that we decided to tackle: climate change, the work diversification, and the population growth. That includes innovation, strategy plan, the energy independence plan, climate change adaptation and mitigation, transportation, mobility, and coastal management, coastal and the mountains around the city. As I've said before, Eilat joined the climate neutral smart cities. I will go forward and then maybe come back to a few slides. As of today, Eilat is running 7 Horizon-related projects in the city. The Melodizer project that was accepted this year is taking a small desalination plant to desalinate seawater and use it for drinking. In order to help residents to install solar PV on the roofs, Eilat developed an application for the residents called Eilat Solar. As a resident, you enter your ID code, you get an aerial photograph of your own house with a simulation of the PV on the roofs. You can play with the investment, there is a slider, and it changes accordingly the simulation of the PV on the roof with all the economic feasibility of your own roof. It also gives you a list of contractors that apply with the municipality codes, as well as the possibility to take loans from the banks. So basically the aim was that you will be able to install a PV system on your roof without getting off your couch and to get everything ready. That actually doubled or even almost tripled the amount of installation in the city. And now, as of today, together with the Ministry of Energy, we're working with other cities in Israel to give them the same application and to help them do the same. The Green Neighborhood project that was already finished, we took a whole neighborhood approach from the households to the public buildings, streetlights, and done audits and energy efficiency projects and all of that, achieving more than 30% reduction of energy on the whole neighborhood, including the households. The Berlin project, which is an ENI CBC MED project that is now in implementation, takes a school in Eilat, one of the first schools in Eilat, and actually disconnecting it or develop the ability to disconnect it from the grid, together with PV, storage, management system, and demand-side management. It's part of a bigger project together with the regional council just outside of Eilat, Eilot region, together with Greece, Cyprus, and Italy. The Procure project is a very unique one. It's a PCP, pre-commercial procurement project, run from Switzerland with one coordinator for 6 cities around the world. In Eilat, a few years back, the airport inside the city was evacuated to be 20 kilometers outside the city. A new airport was built, international one, and it actually made a big, or it's making a big change in Eilat for better most of the time, but also for worse. One of the worst things that happened is that the transportation to the city was raised by more than 30% since the evacuation of the airport. And that have of course, immediate implication on the residents and the tourist quality of life. If you see the jams and there is not enough parking lots in the city, etc. So, but we'll get for that back. We'll get back for that in a minute. Procure, what it's doing, it's taking the old terminal in the airport and also develop there the ability to disconnect it from the grid with new technologies that are pre-commercial, looking at the entire building, including air condition, HVAC, PV, management system, storage, and more, the envelope. And right now we're in the process of choosing an international supplier for all the project altogether that will supply everything for all the projects. I see that I'm run out of time, but just to summarize, we're managing a few other projects, all related to what I mentioned before, and to tackle climate change. When we see the climate adaptation, net zero is the main pillar, with everything, all the rest of the things around it for the quality of life for my and the residents' kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Elad. So we're moving on to the next city, and you've probably heard it already yesterday. Trikala is one of the first cities that have been called in Greece the first digital city in 2004 already. And this was the starting point for a journey where the city experienced transformational change, being a pioneer in designing innovative ICT solutions in e-mobility, energy, e-health, and open governance for the benefit of the city and its citizens. Now that climate change adaptation is on Europe's agenda, as we can see also from all the projects, the cities will play a pivotal role in addressing it. And Trikala has committed to be a frontrunner, paving the way towards climate neutrality through EU mission for 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030. So let's meet Konstantina Sakadi to tell you more about the smart and green transition for urban sustainable development in the city of Trikala. She is an advisor to the mayor of the city of Trikala and has worked on the city's venture towards accelerating the transition to climate neutrality. Please welcome with me Konstantina Sakadi.
Hello, good morning. So we will try to explain here what has been our journey towards, let's say, sustainability and then climate neutrality that is so critical in our days. And I will start with a few examples of what has been our endeavors concentrated right now and where we want to go. I don't know why the presentation seems like that, but I hope that you're able to see the most important details here. So just a few informative points about Trikala. It's been a city of 5,000 years of history, and it's been a home of Asclepius, which is the doctor of ancient times. Now Trikala is a medium-sized city of over 81,000 inhabitants, and in recent years it has been awarded the title of the first smart digital city in Greece, and taking advantage of all this, of the momentum, it has been involved in many projects and applications that are about smart city solutions that improve the city operations, but also the citizens' experience. Another attribute of Trikala is that it's in the Thessalian plain, so it's a flat city, and bicycles have been in our life since forever. Under these, the label and the legacy that we have in our hands since 2004 that we have been working on digital transformation and smart city solutions. We try to deliver, the municipality along with Trikala, are trying to deliver an efficient, socially inclusive and transparent city through our smart systems and through the ICT solutions and applications that we deploy. I will just name a few to see how things have been going on so far. And we have established at first, we wanted to citizens experience firsthand what the city behind is trying to accomplish. And one great step on that was the Municipal Control Center that has been located in the entrance of the City Hall. So as people can get acquainted with what is going on in the back end and see firsthand what kind of applications we are deploying in order to enhance and optimize our operations in favor of them and their everyday lives. Apart from that, from the applications that were evident to the citizens, like a municipal call center for urgent matters and the location of incidents around the city, we have also created some applications based on smart city solutions and that are relevant to the digital era that we go along, and that work towards the efficiency of resources and energy. I will give some indicative examples of that. So that you know, but that beforehand, before all this energy efficiency and sustainability became, let's say, imposed and viral, we were working on that because we knew that it was the key for our city sustainability and prosperity. There were some applications that we have brought along from other partners, but also some that we have built in-house. For example, the telemonitoring system of the water supply network is one of the applications that one of our startups created and runs all over the city water supply network to manage our water resources more efficiently and predict any failures that may occur. There's also similar applications based on sensors spread all over our river basins and our the bedside and our paths near the river about the telemonitoring of the water level that creates incidents which then say impose the specific actions like the risk of flooding and its whole decision support system of how we should manage this. In the same note, we have also created in-house, developed in-house a telemonitoring system of IoT sensors and an application that monitors the sewage water pump function condition, provides information about maintenance that may be needed or flood risk or whatever other incident could occur in order for us to have a constant flow of this kind of sewage operation in our city, which has made us really, let's say, proactive, and everything works perfectly right now. Another application is the network of IoT sensors to predict fire detection and which monitor the urban growth and gives us also the points of incidence wherever they occur, which also creates a decision support system of how to act in such occasions. Another one of these applications is about monitoring the micro and microclimate conditions, which also give alerts to farmers and landowners on how to, let's say, act every day in order to protect their crops according to the climate conditions and help them better manage their crops and their everyday work. But all these things are related to background, let's say, backend information that we receive from our smart city applications. But we didn't stop on that. We know that, and we all know that energy efficiency is one of the most, let's say, crucial matters that we have to take into our responsibilities and provide solutions. So, since quite a long time, we have been working or establishing power plants from photovoltaics in our municipal buildings and work on installing building energy management systems to monitor and optimize the energy performance of the municipal buildings, and building on also other innovative solutions that will help optimize the performance of the buildings, but also provide more innovative solutions on how to actually manage our building stock. And of course, waste management is also crucial in order to, if we want to talk about sustainability and circularity of resources. We have been working on creating our new waste management plan that is under construction, but we also work on pilots that create citizen awareness that will then help us, these practices will help us relieve the Trikala landfill and produce less, let's say, volume of waste that we have to handle. And then, of course, Trikala and e-Trikala is really renowned of being a pioneer in sustainable mobility by deploying innovative pilots and research projects in electromobility, autonomous vehicles, shared automation operating models, and shared mobility models around the rural areas according to passenger demand. And what have been our, let's say, guide for all these years is the plan strategies that we have created since 2010 that are relevant to climate change mitigation. We have set the basis when we have signed the Covenant of Mayors and the Sustainable Energy Action Plan. We have set the first target for 20% CO2 reduction, and after that we have all of our plans and strategies have been under this, let's say, on the same spirit, and this gave us a great opportunity to see firsthand that all these projects that we undertake, all these new programs that we have in our city are being translated in energy efficiency and greenhouse gas emission reduction. So we have came to an understanding that all the practices that we have been undergoing since 2004 are towards the sustainability of the city and the sustainability of resources in order to deliver a resilient, sustainable, and livable city for the citizens. And this came in the perfect timing where the European Commission launched their missions for climate neutral and smart cities. That was our mandate to apply for this, and we were selected over there and provided our ambition for climate neutrality. I'm running out of time, so I will go a little bit quicker over here. Energy efficiency and energy storage and renewable energy sources are one of the biggest priorities, as the former speakers really good pointed out, because we need to renovate our building stock, provide solutions for monitoring through sensors on our buildings, create a citywide program for energy renovations, even for the poorest neighborhoods, in order to help them reduce their energy sources. That's why we will also create an energy services center to provide information and guidance on that. And we have our partnerships with so many companies, energy companies, that will provide their solutions in order to find the right partnerships to achieve that. Sustainable mobility is in our core, and we have an extensive a network of bicycle lanes that it expands all the time. We do large-scale demos to facilitate many autonomous and electric mobility projects that will help decarbonize the mobility sector. In smart systems, I have shown you how far we have come, and now that we, from all of our efforts on that, we are eligible for 7 million funding from the RRF in order to create a holistic global smart city platform to lock our services over there. And we are now developing our new waste treatment plan, which will help us reduce our waste on the landfill by 90% and do all these other projects of let's say, awareness and circularity more feasible by creating awareness through rewarding apps and a local digital currency that will help citizens help us on that. Also, it is very important to create more urban green spaces and retrofit and repurpose buildings and spaces in order to enhance walkability and give people back more green spaces. And, in all this way, through our projects all these years and through our participation in the call for the EU mission for climate neutrality, we have created a whole ecosystem of innovation and research and innovation that met our city's vision, and we are really confident that with these partnerships we'll be as closer as we could be in our goal for climate neutrality. Of course, we have citizens with us in all this way, because participatory design is in our core. And we will continue to do that in this journey until the 2030. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Konstantina. Yeah, we're coming to the next lady. I think we have women power. Elad is sort of our, sort of quota man that we have on the panel today. So a unique example to drive urban innovation will be presented by Laura Ribotta from the Smart City EU Funds and Innovation Unit from the city of Turin. And Laura Ribotta is an environmental engineer and has also a PhD in geoenvironmental engineering for hydrocarbon transport in soil. She is now in charge for the smart city projects in the field of environmental adaptation, mitigation strategies, and circular economy. So what does the sustainable inclusive path for urban innovation look like? Let's find out with Laura Ribotta.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Laura Ribotta from the city of Torino, and today I will talk about one of our initiatives, Torino City Lab. I work for the Office of Innovation and European Funds. Here there is a video. I hope it works.
Is there video?
No, it can start. I don't know.
Let's see. I don't think it looks like we're having the
Okay,
video.
but the video is about what Torino City Lab was and what will be. I can say something before it starts. It was an initiative in a neighborhood for a living labs for citizens, and now all the city is open to this innovation. It's a lab for all companies who want to test something of innovative. I can go ahead if it doesn't work, okay? And now we won also a national grant with a project called House of Emerging Technologies that is also shared with the city of Prato and other cities in Italy. And for example, in the House of Emerging Technologies, we are working with all accelerators and incubators of startups in the city, and also with research entities. And we are doing some calls for different targets and for different type of innovation. But what is to be an open laboratory? We work about autonomous driving, about drones, about 5G, about, in general, clean tech and smart life solution that is more specific also in the environment and climate change challenges. And in what domain of the city? In ICT, but also energy and environment, in welfare and quality of life, economy, safety and security. But what the city offers to companies who want to experiment something, to test something in our city. First of all, the whole city is a laboratory for you and for your innovation. We offer municipal intangibles, so people, processes, network, connection, data. And there is a single contact point that is our office for the company. And our work is to facilitate relationships and the access for company to innovate, to test. And what type of tests we are doing in Torino? Not everything that companies offer to us, but we have each time we compose an evaluation team, and what type of how the proposals are evaluated about innovativeness, technical feasibility, economical and financial sustainability, involvement of citizens and then social impact, environmental sustainability. And so, and this is the partnership for now. I hope it's updated, but if you go on the website, it's updated. They are more than 90 now, and they are public, private, they are from research, universities, and then we have really the quadruple helix here. And now, down to the earth, some little examples that I followed. For us, a living labs is also something that there is in a European project, like in this case, in Progireg. Progireg is a project about nature-based solution in a neighborhood. In this case, we had some little ruins, you can see in the landscape in the picture up, but we have a committee very interested, we have citizens very interested in this part of the city, and they want to tell everybody about the past of the castle of Mirafiori. Why? Because they are living in a part of the neighborhood that was built together with the castle of Mirafiori, and they are very proud of it. So for the project, we planted those plants to remember to all citizens who are walking down there that there were a castle, there were a big garden, a beautiful garden there. And talking with them, we had another idea to involve some partners from Torino City Lab, that is Politecnico of Torino, and to build up with them an AR example, and we put a poster there with this example, and we did also some public events, and we engaged the local high school people, and some students explained to all citizens how the AR works. So at the beginning it was difficult also to explain to this committee that is composed by old people who what AR is, but at the end really we linked generation. This is another test we did with Wiser, that is a startup. It was selected by Techstar Accelerator, and we evaluated their proposal, and we decided with our regional agency for environment that it could be interesting. And they put all around the cities some sensor for the quality of the air. And you know, in Torino, the quality of the air is a big topic. And now they won another acceleration by Impact Deal. And with the Politecnico of Torino, they want to build up a digital platform for planning and monitoring environmental policies. Another startup that is quite at the beginning of their test is Around, and they want to propose to takeaway restaurants and to catering restaurants some reusable boxes instead of disposal boxes. And we are helping them with some data, with some events. They are doing also a crowdfunding if you are interested, and you can find them on LinkedIn. And so who we are in our office? We are 10 people. We have different skills and education. We are open mind and multitasking. And Torino City Lab is only a part of our work because we have also European projects. And our job mainly is connecting dots. And yes, I have a PhD, but to be a mother of 3 is more important in this job. And so that's all for for this part. But what TCL, Torino City Lab, can do for the mission? We will do some specific call about, for example, circular food in March. But we are readdressing our test, our experimentation, our European project for the mission. An example is the mobility as a service pilot. We started some time ago to do some little tests, but it was useful to grow up a team around this work. Not only inside the city, also with companies. And we won a big pilot of 10 million from national grants because of this team, born inside the connection, the network of Torino City Lab. And it will be a scale-up of a little experimentation. So it was Net Zero City once, I think. And also with Torino City Lab, we want to raise awareness everywhere. with citizens, with companies, with other public administration. And here you can find our links. You can subscribe our newsletter to be updated. We are on a lot of social networks, not TikTok for now, but maybe in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, and we are coming to our next speaker. Planning to become a zero-emission city is now a duty. No city can escape the science of climate change, and it becomes a fundamental task to translate planning into projects and actions. And Alessandra Barbieri will show you Florence's path towards climate protection and trying to become a net zero city. Alessandra Barbieri is the manager for projects office of the municipality of Florence of the Smart Florence Plan, and she is also a referent of the EU Mission 100 climate neutral smart cities at 2030. So please welcome Alessandra.
Okay, thank you so much, and very happy to be here. It's not the first time that Florence is attending. Yesterday you had Gianluca Vannuccini from the Tuscany region that was presenting a sort of a plan that is deploying all the cities that are part of the Tuscany region, as Prato, for instance, and is representing the work that is needed to achieve this target that is quite challenging for all the cities that are applying, but maybe for cities as Florence could be something harder in a way. Just a small presentation about Florence. As you know, is middle-sized cities, but the main characteristic that it has is that it is going to doubling the people that are using the city daily, because we have a lot of commuters that are made in, of course, from workers, students, but also a lot of tourists, because it's quite well-known cities. And that means to manage a city that is really a living body, and it's hard to find a solution that could be daily use for all the users that are within it. The path that we start towards climate protection and sustainability, it's a quite long story, let me say, because it starts from the harbor charge in 1998, and I think that only because we start this path, so let me say, for a long time, we were able to apply for this challenging timing of the emissions to be neutral climate by 2030. But I think that this is a challenge that all the cities are committed to do it. Maybe they were not applying, but maybe they were not selecting, but what is surely is that everybody is working to achieve the target as soon as possible. This is among their challenges, and we have to work to it, to be united in it, and use all the opportunities that are coming also from other cities. We think that our strategy has been, during the time, managed by our Smart City Plan that was developed within a European project. It was steep, and it was based on system thinking approach, that meaning to have all the people that are counting in a city to develop a model, a sustainability model that help us in achieving the result that was in the beginning targeting 2050, to be honest, and is based in an holistic approach that keeping together all the sectors that are relevant within the cities, and it's sort of talking about how we can find the best solution, but also how we can financing that solution, because otherwise could be hard to have just a plan without action. So bear in mind this vision to be climate neutral 2050 with a strong commitment. Let me say the political commitment is maybe the main achievement that is needed for a city to work with it, because it depends on the budgeting, it depends on human resources, so we have to invest also in the political commitment to be sure to achieve the commitment at the end. We have been developing a lot of major plans that are keeping together all the sectors under the umbrella of the Smart City Plan, that was starting with our Sustainable Energy in Action Plan in 2010, 2011, and right now we have been headed the local recovery plan. That is something that merged with the Rinasci Firenze during the pandemic and has been reinforced thanks to the opportunity coming from the European funds on resilience funds, the national NRP. But to do it, we need indicators who have to be sure to achieve on time, but also to be sure to be in the right path. So we start our analysis from the emission inventory basis, 25 for our 0 year, let me say. And during this trip, we already have achieved the first target of 40%, and now we are working to achieve the next one. Let me say that with our first CCAP, we were supposed to achieve by 2030 the 60%, also according to the Fit for 55 packages that were committed by the European Commission, so from 40% to 60%, and now to 80% plus 20% of balancing. Of course, we are a cultural heritage city. It would be very hard to apply for 100% because we are aware that some buildings cannot be retrofitted, neither be refurbished as it will be asked. So we are going to use the 20% that is allowed with some complementary plan in order to achieve at the end the 100%. So the first step that is ongoing is to review our CCAP according to the new target, and of course putting together new action and new models, let me say, according also to the challenges coming from the climate mitigation action. So a lot of key action, let me say, are ongoing. I'm not going to, let me say, analyze all of them, but what is relevant for me is just to show that it's multi-level project. It's not only multi-governance model, but it's also multi-level project that is putting together several key sectors that were already represented in a very perfect way also from my colleagues in advance. And what is clear is that it's not just a question of technology, it's not just a question of mobility, it's not just a question of building, it's mainly a question of people and the services. So we just trying to put together all the things that, let me say, could have a meaning to work together and trying to find the added value when you are analyzing a project to see the impact, not only in terms of emission in this case, but also in terms of affordability, in terms of sociability, in terms of reusing. And this is true not only in terms of territories, in terms of cities or networking, but it's true also in terms of private collaboration, in terms of people, that we always say that they are the real agents of change, because, you know, I think that the municipality should be the proper example, the good example in the cities, but then we should be able to address these challenges and make it feel as the challenges of the people. And this is the only way that we think we are able to achieve it. So we have some good practices that also help us to spread the messages, let me say, and to raise the awareness within our citizenship, within our city users, and this, for instance, close to the smart lighting. Because there's a lot of immaterial intervention that is hard to explain to people how it works, what is the impact. But the smart lighting, the public smart lighting, is very easy to say. It's very easy to choose, to show how it's changed, not only in terms of colors, of course, because the change of the LEDs means also change of the impact of the light in terms of colors, but also in terms of safety and security, because it's enlarged the range of the light that is achieved by the LED lights. And moreover, the smart lighting, the relevant, it's not just the LED system, but also the fact that you are able to add some more control system, to have some more sensor on it. So we are enlarging our Wi-Fi system, we are enlarging our opportunity to see the people flows, the traffic flows, and give us also the opportunity to spread more messages just using the smart lighting. But then, I'm sorry, because I will bore you again with mobility. Has been shown from Maria from the beginning, mobility is a core, let me say, activity within all the cities. But especially in Florence, because it was the main sector that was affecting emission for 34% in our forced inventory emission. And that was quite strange because usually are buildings, but in Florence were mobility. So we invest a lot in terms of intervention and thinking about the mobility. And the fourth action was related to the modernization of the transport networking, starting from the tramways. I know that tramways is something that is very used all over Europe, all over the world, but for a cultural heritage as Florence is, it's quite hard to think a system that is connecting the center to the whole municipality all around, because we have a lot of commuters, so this is needed, but also to the main services at the airport, at the main hospital. So we are enlarging our action. We already have deployed 3 of the 7 tramline system that is expected within the cities, and already projecting and starting the next 2. Okay, sorry. Then we have, I was too fast. Then we were working on the pedestrian area, the soft mobility, let me say, because with so many people that are using the city, we should also be sure that not too many vehicles will enter together with people, not only in terms of cultural region saving, but also for people saving. So we have been enlarging it, and we have found a quite large surface, just pedestrian, considering, of course, the total number of the area and the square meters that is interesting the territories of Florence, and also investing a lot in e-mobility. Florence is the national capital cities in terms of number of recharging and numbers of people. And it's not just a question of public fleets, it's also a question of numbers of recharging system columns that are public, interoperable, and this is connecting, let me say, also the opportunity that people that are coming from abroad with electrical vehicles that have some special let me say, authorization also to enter in the city center because of the using of electric vehicles. Of course, they are private. We prefer public, but if private is needed, then to be at least sustainable. And then we had a lot of incentives in order to make people be more comfortable, let me say, with electric vehicles, because especially in the beginning it was quite hard to show them the opportunities that were coming in terms of inventory emissions, because it was, it still is a quite expensive system. But we are working on it, and we're working on it also in giving added service at the sharing system, and we are mainly referring to the bikes one, according also to our city system and the territories that give the opportunity to move quite well within it. So not only we have been enlarging the number of the bike paths, but also giving the opportunities to have special solution, let me say, from students that are our, let me say, new citizens. We are investing a lot on it because they are the future. So giving them the opportunity also to have some sharing model. And according to this idea, and then I'm referring also to the project that you can visit in the booths that we have here within the meeting, we have been applied for this user key that is a model that is reinforcing the e-mobility system in Europe. And we are investing as a replicator cities in a solution for private bikers owners, e-bikers owners. And we are using this integrated solar DC charging that gives the opportunity to recharge your bike in a safe way, because this is the most relevant things. And we are having some piloting in some areas that are part of our park and ride system, in order to make also people using as much and as meaningless vehicle system as possible. Everything is very interesting, but needs to be realized and then go from planning to action. And the financial plan is something that since the beginning has been thinking about. We have an extraordinary opportunity during this year because pandemic gave us the opportunity to rethink what's going on, but also to have some special and extraordinary financial system. Italy, as you know, has been the first member state that has been investing and having this opportunity of about 20% of the total amount of the resilience. And part of them are targeting also the cities, municipalities, and this is one of the main achievements that are coming from that, the role of the cities that have been, let me say, discovered from the European Commission. And I really hope that this discovering will be for all people that are here. We need your support because we are all part of these challenges. So people thinking, mind, but especially core in doing these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra. Yeah, and Maria, you have invited for our panel and Q&A session some extra special guests, so maybe you want to lead them onto the stage.
Yes, please. So we have the honor, and we are very happy to be able to welcome a few additional guests, which will be Mayor Lazaros Maloutas from Kozani, who is one of the cities within Greece that is also trying to become climate neutral by 2030. Then Vice Mayor Pasakidis from Kalamata. So if you can hear me, because I have seen Mayor Maloutos going outside. Oh, he's here. So can you please join me here on the stage? Also Vice Mayor Pasakidis, Mrs. Katerina Vini, who is an advisor to the Mayor of Ioannina. Please, come on, join us here. And Mrs. Konstantina Sioudri, who is with the Greek National Ministry of Environment, coordinating the mission.
So I don't think we have enough seats, so maybe I can stand.
Me too.
So we will make some space. Oh, and we have some more chairs, okay? We can put them up, but please find a seat.
But it could make things easier to stand anyway for me.
Yes, we will try to get everybody to.
Go ahead,
please
take a seat.
Join. Go ahead. So I will take also we've received also quite some questions already, so Maria, you will start with the first round of questions and I will check with our audience.
Yes. So, as you can see, we're quite some panel, so I would like to ask you all to give brief answers, okay? And of course, as we've had an opportunity to present our cities before, I would like to start with the new guests on the panel. And I thought that the best way to start would be to ask you all, one by one, to give me an answer to the following question. Why, actually, did you decide to start with this very ambitious mission? What is, in your eyes, for your city, the benefit? And also, if there is one challenge that you think that you're facing when trying to become climate neutral, what is it and what is the response to that? You may try to give me an answer in something like 3 sentences. And I would like to start with Mayor Maloutas.
Ανακούγομαι. Μια χαρά είναι. Καλημέρα σε όλους. Ευχαριστώ για την πρόσκληση. Μαρία, ναι, για μας υπάρχει προφανώς, φαντάζομαι, και για τις 100 πόλεις υπάρχει μια ιδιαιτερότητα. Για μας είναι ακόμα περισσότερη εμφανής η ιδιαιτερότητα αυτή. Η περιοχή μας, η περιοχή της Κοζάνης, είναι ακόμα και σήμερα μια από τις περισσότερο εξαρτημένες από άνθρακα περιοχές της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης. Πριν 10-15 χρόνια η συνολική οικονομική δραστηριότητα που εξαρτιόνταν από τη λιγνητική δραστηριότητα ξεπερνούσε το 50%. Από το 90 και μετά η λιγνητική δραστηριότητα συνεχώς συρρυκνωνόταν και επομένως ήταν εμφανές το έλλειμμα, το ότι η περιοχή αναζητούσε ένα νέο αναπτυξιακό, ένα νέο παραγωγικό μοντέλο. Φτάνουμε το φθινόπωρο του 2019, όπου εξαγγέλλεται από την πρόεδρο της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής, την κυρία Ursula von der Leyen, το Green Deal, Σε επίπεδο Ελλάδας έχουμε την εξαγγελία από τον Πρωθυπουργό της απολιγνητοποίησης και βεβαίως σε αυτό που ήδη βλέπαμε να εξελίσσεται, αρχίσαμε να έχουμε πλέον και ημερομηνίες και να έχουμε και στόχους. Επομένως, για το Δήμο της Κοζάνης ήταν μονόδρομος να ανταποκριθούμε θετικά σε αυτήν την πρόκληση, στην αποστολή της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης για τις 100 κλιματικά ουδέτερες και έξυπνες πόλεις, γιατί αυτό έδινε διέξοδο και προοπτική στην πόλη μας. Και έδινε διέξοδο και προοπτική γιατί, αφενός γιατί ήδη ήμασταν ένας Δήμος που στα ενεργειακά είχαμε μια μεγάλη εμπειρία και διαδρομή, αναφέρω μόνο την τηλεθέρμανση, το μεγαλύτερο ενεργειακό έργο της τοπικής αυτοδιοίκησης στην Ελλάδα, το οποίο το λειτουργούμε. Απ' την άλλη, οι δύο τομείς που ήταν η πρόκληση της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής, δηλαδή η κλιματική ουδετερότητα και ο ψηφιακός μετασχηματισμός, ήταν το μέλλον. Γιατί προς τα εκεί πάει όχι μόνο η Ευρώπη, όχι μόνο η Ελλάδα, όλη η ανθρωπότητα. Συνεπώς, αυτό καθόρισε τις επιλογές μας. Και βεβαίως, τώρα δεν κρατάω την ώρα λίγο και κλείνω με αυτό, Μαρία. Ήδη κάνουμε βήματα, ήδη προετοιμαζόμαστε για να καταθέσουμε το φάκελο την Άνοιξη για να πάρουμε και το label και βεβαίως ένα σχόλιο μόνο σε αυτά που είπες στην ωραία παρουσίασή σου για το κομμάτι των κατοικιών και πόσο συνεισφέρουν τα κτίρια γενικότερα στις εκπομπές διοξιδίου του άνθρακα. Εμείς έχουμε και τις ευκολίες και τις δυσκολίες στην πορεία και τις ιδιαιτερότητες. Για μας το θέμα στη θέρμανση των κατοικιών έχουμε το θετικό της τηλεθέρμανσης, αλλά έχουμε τη μεγάλη πρόκληση να τη μετασχηματίσουμε με τροφοδοσία με ενέργεια από ανανεώσιμες πηγές ενέργειας, αλλά και απ' την άλλη στο κομμάτι και πάμε και στο κομμάτι της κατανάλωσης ηλεκτρικής ενέργειας, κάναμε το βήμα να πάρουμε άδεια εμπορίας ηλεκτρικής ενέργειας μέσω PPA, με πράσινα PPA, ώστε να μπορέσουμε να τροφοδοτήσουμε τις κατοικίες μας στην κατεύθυνση αυτή. Αντιμετωπίζουμε θετικά την πρόκληση, τρέχουμε, έχουμε στήσει την ομάδα μας και δουλεύουμε συστηματικά στην κατεύθυνση αυτή. Ευχαριστώ.
Thank you very much, Mayor Maloutas. I would like to remind you that there is translation, so you don't miss, because it's really awesome what is happening in Greece right now. So I would like to pass on to Vice Mayor Bassakidis. The floor is yours.
Σας ευχαριστώ, κυρία Βασιλάκου. Καλημέρα σε όλους. Είμαι αντιδήμαρχος στην πόλη της Καλαμάτας, μια πόλη στο νότιο μέρος της ηπειρωτικής Ελλάδας, όπου τα ακραία καιρικά φαινόμενα έχουν εμφανιστεί την τελευταία πενταετία πάρα πολύ έντονα στην περιοχή μας και επηρεάζουν, πέρα από τον τρόπο ζωής, επηρεάζουν πάρα πολύ την παραγωγή μας που κατά βάση είναι αγροτική, αλλά και τον τουρισμό που στηρίζεται πάνω σε αυτή. Στα χρόνια της οικονομικής κρίσης δεκαετίας του 2010 κάναμε ένα πρώτο βήμα και αντικαταστήσαμε 15.000 λαμπτήρες με LED, εξοικονομώντας 78% της ηλεκτρικής ενέργειας. Αυτό είναι ένα έβνασμα που μας δίνει τη δυνατότητα να σκεφτούμε τα επόμενα βήματα τα οποία έχουμε να κάνουμε και που σχετίζονται με την εξοικονόμηση της ενέργειας και που αυτά μεταφράζονται αφενός μεν σε μείωση εκπομπών των ρήπων, αλλά αφετέρου δε σε αύξηση του εισοδήματος, μιας και θα καταναλώνουμε πολύ λιγότερα χρήματα. Το όραμά μας για την πόλη είναι πόλη φιλική και ανθεκτική. Φιλική για τους κατοίκους της και για τους επισκέπτες, άρα πρέπει να παρέμβουμε σε όλες τις λειτουργίες της πόλης. Ναι. Να παρέμβουμε σε όλες τις λειτουργίες της πόλης που έχουν να κάνουν με την κινητικότητα αλλά και με το παραγωγικό μοντέλο. Και ανθεκτική είναι να προετοιμαστούμε απέναντι σε όλες τις κρίσεις. Ήδη σας είπα πώς αντιμετωπίσαμε ένα πρώτο βήμα την οικονομική κρίση της δεκαετίας του 10 και τώρα μας βρήκε η ενεργειακή κρίση προετοιμασμένους, έχοντας ήδη κάνει ένα βήμα πιο πριν για να αντιμετωπίσουμε αυτή κατά έναν τρόπο οικονομικό και που βέβαια μας δίνει τη δυνατότητα να αξιοποιήσουμε και αυτό το πλούσιο ηλιακό δυναμικό που έχει η περιοχή μας στο νότο για να μπορέσουμε να παράξουμε καθαρή ενέργεια και να χρησιμοποιηθεί μέσα από την ενεργειακή μας κοινότητα για τις χρήσεις τόσο των δημοτικών και δημοσίων κτηρίων, όσο και στη συνέχεια των ιδιωτικών. Πολύ φιλική και ανθεκτική και είναι η ευκαιρία μας με την συμμετοχή μας στο δίκτυο των 100 κλιματικά ουδέτερων πόλεων να υλοποιήσουμε όλα αυτά τα οποία έχουμε στο νου μας. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
And may I pass on to Katerina Vini from Ioannina. The floor is yours.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την πρόσκληση. Καλημέρα σας. Όπως ξέρετε, οι περισσότεροι τα Γιάννηνα βρίσκονται στη βορειοδυτική Ελλάδα, σε ένα στρατηγικό κομβικό σημείο, όπου ενώνεται η Εγνατία με την Ιόνια Οδό, πολύ κοντά στα σύνορα της Αλβανίας και στο Διεθνές Λιμάνι της Ιγουμενίτσας. Σαν Δήμος έχουμε ήδη ολοκληρώσει το στρατηγικό μας σχεδιασμό σε ένα επίπεδο πρωτογενές και η ανακοίνωση της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης για την Ευρωπαϊκή Αποστολή αποτέλεσε μεγάλη πρόκληση για μας για να επαναπροσδιορίσουμε τους στόχους μας και το 2030 τα Γιάννηνα να είναι μια πόλη φιλική στο περιβάλλον με ποιότητα ζωής στους πολίτες. Έχουμε ήδη ξεκινήσει από την προετοιμασία της υποβολής της υποψηφιότητας μια συνεργασία με διακεκριμένους ακαδημαϊκούς φορείς, με πολίτες, με τους φορείς της πόλης μας, για να συνδημιουργήσουμε το όραμά μας για την κλιματική ουδετερότητα. Η προσπάθεια συνεχίζεται. Στα Γιάννενα, μέσα από συμμετοχικά εργαστήρια, αυτή την περίοδο δουλεύουμε εντατικά την ανάπτυξη ενός δικτύου ποδηλατοδρόμων με τη συμμετοχή όλων των ενδιαφερόμενων φορέων και φυσικά για τη σύνταξη του κλιματικού σχεδίου, το οποίο θα περιλαμβάνει τις δράσεις μας και το επενδυτικό σχέδιο, όπως έχουμε ήδη δεσμευτεί όλοι οι Δήμοι σε αυτή την κοινή προσπάθεια.
Thank you very much, Katerina. And I would like now to also ask Mrs. Youdry to perhaps give us a brief overview of the way the national government in Greece has been supporting the Greek Cities Alliance for Climate Neutrality. Πιο κοντά.
Καλημέρα σε όλους και ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ την πρόσκληση και την κυρία Βασιλάκου την ευχαριστούμε διπλά γιατί είναι μαζί μας τα τελευταία 2,5 χρόνια σε όλη αυτή την προσπάθεια, μας καθοδηγεί και μας δίνει πολύτιμες συμβουλές που εμείς τις μεταφέρουμε στις πόλεις. Πριν 2,5 χρόνια ξεκινήσαμε αυτή την προσπάθεια με την συμβολή και της κυρίας Βασιλάκου και τον κύριο Νικολαίδη, που είναι μέλη του Mission Board με ελληνικές ρίζες και καταγωγή. Οπότε αρχίσαμε έναν αγώνα ενημέρωσης καταρχήν και προσπάθειας προσέλκυσης του ενδιαφέροντος των ελληνικών πόλεων. Μετά από μια προσπάθεια κάποιων μηνών, μπορώ να πω ότι είχαμε πολύ θετική ανταπόκριση από πάρα πολλές πόλεις. Ενδεικτικά αναφέρω ότι υποψηφιότητα κατέθεσαν 30 ελληνικές πόλεις, 30 ελληνικοί δήμοι και είχαμε την πολύ μεγάλη επιτυχία να έχουμε 6 υποψήφιες για το label πόλης, τον Δήμο Αθηναίων, τον Δήμο Θεσσαλονίκης, τα Τρίκαλα, που γνωρίσατε, την Κοζάνη, την Καλαμάτα και τα Ιωάννινα. Αυτό είναι μια μεγάλη χαρά, αλλά επίσης και μια μεγάλη ευθύνη, γιατί αυτή τη στιγμή πρέπει να διαχειριστούμε το συντονισμό αυτής της προσπάθειας, να δούμε τι μπορούμε να κάνουμε, τι αλλαγές μπορούμε να κάνουμε, τόσο στο νομοθετικό πλαίσιο, τόσο στο να βρεθούν κρατικοί πόροι να στηρίξουν την προσπάθεια των Δήμων, να αναπτυχθούν οργανωτικές δεξιότητες και κυρίως να βρεθεί ένας καινοτόμος τρόπος διακυβέρνησης, που είναι και το ζητούμενο της αποστολής. Και αυτό σημαίνει ότι θα πρέπει να ανατραπούν πάρα πολλά δεδομένα που μέχρι σήμερα, με διάφοροι μηχανισμοί που μέχρι σήμερα λειτουργούν, με τους οποίους μέχρι σήμερα λειτουργούσαμε τόσο σαν χώρα, αλλά και σαν μέλος της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης.
So thank you very much for this. I will do the following. So that our guests here in the panel that have not had translation have at least an opportunity to know in one sentence what it is about. Kozani is a city that has electric power plants based on coal historically, and has to manage the major transition of, turning energy production towards 100%, of course, sustainable sources, which makes it unique. The uniqueness of Kalamata is that it's very touristic. It's one of the sunniest places in Greece, and it also combines a high degree of agricultural production with tourism, among other things, okay? You could talk about your cities for hours, but I'm just trying to give a very basic idea. Yanina is not only a touristic place, it has a huge sea, and besides all other issues, it is also a very good place to see how heritage can be combined with, so in a way it could be comparable to Florence in terms of some of the challenges that we're facing. And then, of course, the national support in Greece is something that we're facing right now all over Europe, because it is about bringing cities that have entered this challenge together, and it's about organizing how they can be supported on the one hand, logistically, financially, everything that is needed, but also organizing other cities that are not part of the mission on their way towards climate neutrality. So we're trying to spread, the message and the mission nationally, and then of course across Europe as well. Now, we have several questions, as I know, from people from the audience. So please, Stephanie.
Yes, I think we should also, of course, involve our speakers of the session. And one of the bigger ones, before I actually address also one for you, Maria, was what roles can the IT digital leaders play in addressing the climate neutrality? So if you're in a certain department, how can you help change and move forward? Who would like to start? We have several microphones. Yeah, Konstantina, go ahead.
So what can be done is that those departments, the IT departments, create their strategic plans by taking into account the local situation, but also what has been done in European or even global level, and get in touch with people and create partnerships that will help them create the right action plan to invest in their city infrastructure and provide them with, let's say, global systems that will help them monitoring their assets, digitalize them at first, of course, monitor and optimization their operations, which then will help them in all their everyday activities and operations, but also will give them the appropriate data that will help them pivot or even create new ways of operating in the city.
Elad, would you like to maybe also add something to that? You have a microphone there as well.
Yeah. Actually with me today there is a guy, Asaf, from the city. Guy is the CIO of Eilat, and Asaf the environmental manager. But we see the communication, and today with the new technologies, the backbone of the smart city. It enables to do a lot of things, and also it what enables us to make the services of the city more accessible to all residents, and we saw that also in COVID. And one specific example that I mentioned before is how we use AI, artificial intelligence, and the communication in order to encourage residents to install more PV on the rooftops.
Would you, in the middle, Alessandra or Laura, would you like to elaborate just with a short sentence as well?
No, I think that is, it's been a real great opportunity to scale up the experience that was already ongoing. And in this, let me say, path, bringing together private partners, public entities, and people is not just joining a vision, it's being more concrete. This is the real changing, at least for me, because timing is very strict, 2030, and we need to invest. So We are asking also to people to take a role directly, not just to be aware, to get involved, but be very practical. First, municipality, and then all the people that are getting together. And I think this is really a step forward to things that are ongoing in all the cities, of course, but mainly in Florence, because we already have this task force ongoing on climate since more than 10 years. This is a very good practices for us to get everybody involved.
You know the next one for the private partnership. Okay, Laura, go ahead.
Yes, our new elected mayor decided to respond to this call, and we have a strong political will on this. And it's the way, I think, to put the environment and the emission reduction first of all, of every project. And this is the challenge, I think. Inside the city and outside the city. And maybe, I hope, Torino City Lab could be part of the solution.
Excellent. We have two actually questions that I think Maria can take because it deals with the private and public partnerships. And maybe I can combine them for you because you said only a certain amount should come from the public and then the rest should become by the private sector. Is expecting the private sector to fund most of the investments somewhat hopeful as there are yet few robust commercial models? And will that result in the private sector underwriting those investments with all the risk that implies? And the other one that basically merges that question says, public-private partnerships have been a recipe for mortgaging the future and transferring vast sums of money from future generations to the private sector. How can this be avoided with green investments? Right. So, maybe you can sum it up.
Yes, I can. Let me start by saying that if you ask me, where does pressure really come from towards climate neutrality? It comes from industry and it comes from businesses. And it has a lot to do with realizing that moving towards new technologies, new products and new solutions is, of course, the future opportunity, specifically also for European industries. As opposed to the old model where everybody actually senses also in big corporations that it is coming towards an end. So if you look again into what's going on in the private sector, you will see that there are numerous companies of any size you may imagine having products and trying not only to find markets, but also trying to test new solutions and trying to achieve critical mass for investment, which, by the way, I think is the opportunity of the 100 Climate Cities mission, because it actually creates critical mass so that you can create business cases, so that you can invest. And then, of course, there's all this policy at the European level that goes together with creating, again, a window of funding and financing, combining, blending, merging opportunities, and financing again this huge endeavor that could never, ever, ever, ever be done by the public hand alone. Because imagine 100% of all carbon dioxide emissions, and other, by the way, from any kind of activity within a city. How do you tackle this if the public hand was to do it all by itself? Never, ever. So it is clearly something that has to do with you and me and small businesses and large businesses and huge, big, bad corporations and everybody. Otherwise, we won't make it. This is the one side of the coin. The second side of the coin is, when I speak about PPP, I don't mean rotten old models of PPP where actually infrastructures that belong to the public hand already were given off for a piece of bread, as we say in German, to private, well, let's say affiliated corporations to make money. This is not the kind of business I'm talking. I'm talking about new solutions that the public hand could never finance all by itself, and that are thus, on the one hand, regulated and controlled by, let's say, the national government, the regional government, the city, depending, and then, of course, organized and co-financed and developed by private entities. What can be an example? And I'll cut it at that. bike sharing schemes. I don't know, I think there may be one or two public bike sharing schemes throughout Europe, but across the world, this is an excellent, very successful example of a PPP.
Okay, and I think we have one that we should tackle also for the presenters that have been, sort of talking about their cities, because there are changing patterns of work, and we've all experienced it during COVID. And were they contributing to climate neutrality? Did you see any kind of impact in the last 2 years where we were not traveling as much? I mean, Eilat was showing us, a lot of, planes flying, but we had already, in the lockdown time, we didn't have any planes flying. So was there any kind of dip? Was it measurable for some of the projects that you were a part of? Or did you just see basically after COVID is now almost finished and we are coming back to somewhat new normality that we don't really see the effects? Who wants to start? Maybe Eilat?
So, of course, during COVID, there was really, we could breathe. But actually, the effect, we will see it 5 years from COVID. We don't see it right away. So there is a lag. And the thing is that actually, since COVID, it seems that, of course, there is more work from a home or from a distance. I travel less, and my colleagues also. But on the other hand, for some reason, there is much more tourism in Eilat. And all over the world, we see the amount of flights and the movement like it's got on steroids. So I don't really know if we see any good effects from the COVID.
Mm-hmm. Alessandra, would you like to go on, and then we just go the round?
I think that maybe the only good effect is that we start to look in a different way to the services, to really be sure that everybody is involved and everybody will be able to achieve the service at the same time in the same way. That means no left, no one behind, but this time was really true, let me say. So surely we have improved the way we are releasing the digital services, and we were thinking differently. And that, I really think, is the challenge to do also for the next step, also in mobility. Because it's true that was really less people that were moving in the cities, but at the same time, the public services were cut at all. 8% of the buses were not able to be used, so just 20% of the capacity. So we have to rethink also the services as bike sharing, car service. So it was a way, let me say, to give some new services that now are releasing some effect, and I hope good effect.
Mm-hmm. Laura, how was it for Torino?
Yes, I think that the COVID demonstrated that also in Italian public administration, remote working is feasible. And it's something that before it was only a strange thing, and now every public administration has this smart working, we are calling, but maybe only in Italian remote working is smart working, but it's like that. And I think that we can do more and more about this, about the empowering also of our public sector. And it could be also a reduction of emission for transport.
Okay. And maybe Konstantina, yeah?
Yes. Well, in our case, I think that it was evident that people more focused more on their well-being. We see an increase in walkability, an increase in using bicycles, not using their cars so much, and they are more well aware of social affairs, and they want to be included in the public dialogue for all the issues that we have. And now that they are more used to it, using digital tools, it is easier for us to reach them, not only by, one-by-one dialogue, but also with digital means that enhance the dialogue and help us build together what we want to achieve for the city.
Now we have 5 minutes, so I would like to use them to ask our new guests on the panel now. One sentence, really, otherwise we can't make it. If there is one thing that you could start with in your city, which one would it be? And the last one will be Mrs. Hudry. For her, it will be, if there was one thing that you could do now at the national level, what would it be?
Είχα την ευκαιρία να το πω πολύ γρήγορα και βιαστικά πριν. Αν ήταν να ξεκινήσω ένα πράγμα σήμερα, αυτό θα ήταν να μετασχηματίσουμε την τηλεθέρμανση σε ένα μηχανισμό ο οποίος θα τροφοδοτούνταν από ανανεώσιμες πηγές ενέργειας. Είναι πολύ σημαντικό, είναι ένα πράγμα, αλλά έχει πάρα πολύ μεγάλο αποτέλεσμα. Συνεπώς, αυτή θα ήταν η στόχευσή μας και ήδη το κάνουμε. Έτσι, το κάνουμε και ελπίζω σε σύντομο χρονικό διάστημα και με τη συνδρομή της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης να μπορέσουμε να αρχίσουμε να υλοποιούμε αυτό το project.
I also repeated it before. I think that the main challenge for the state of Greece right now is to transform its governance. Innovative ways to give solutions to all problems.
We have also a microphone over here. Yeah?
You have the microphone already, so go ahead. Yes.
Ωραία, ευχαριστώ. Αυτό που θέλουμε εμείς στην Καλαμάτα είναι να μπορέσουμε να υποδεχθούμε τους επισκέπτες, των οποίων ο αριθμός αυξάνει χρόνο με το χρόνο. 35 προορισμοί από το αεροδρόμιο της Καλαμάτας είναι και συνδέονται μαζί μας. Άρα λοιπόν αυτό που θέλουμε είναι να παρέμβουμε στην κινητικότητα και στις λειτουργίες της πόλης, έτσι ώστε τα αποτελέσματα να είναι άμεσα, να έχουν άμεσο αντίκτυπο σε όλους τους κατοίκους και επισκέπτες της.
Το ανέφερα και πριν, ήδη δουλεύουμε εντατικά τον τομέα της βιώσιμης αστικής κινητικότητας, αλλά στόχος μας εξακολουθεί και παραμένει να είναι η ενεργειακή εξοικονόμηση στα κτίρια, εν ώψη και του δύσκολου χειμώνα που έχουμε μπροστά μας.
I thank you all, and I only want to comment on this, that as you see, all these cities sitting here, none of them is the same. None of them has the same approach, and it just proves how challenging this is and how diverse the ways will be towards climate neutrality.
Okay, and Giorgio wanted to say something, so I give the mic really quick before we
Yes, don't worry, it will take just 1 minute. So thank you for this excellent section, and I wanted to say that we have formed inside Major Cities of Europe an interest group of the ones who are interested in leveraging European initiatives and calls to develop new initiatives in cities. And mainly the session that will be at 6 o'clock this afternoon, I hope it will be at 6, we will have a meeting not only of the members of Major Cities of Europe that are dealing with climate change, but also are invited the others that are here, are not members, because we would like them to join us, and in this interest group to exchange monthly experiences, ideas, and how to work together in achieving the results. So I think it could be a great opportunity, and please join this evening all together, because it will be a good opportunity to share it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much for being part of the panel, and we have changed the format a little bit. I hope you understood that we also want to welcome some of the cities from Greece. We got through most of the questions from the panel. Of course, we always have the networking session later on to ask maybe specific questions to one of the cities, but thank you very much for participating. Yes, one picture. Okay, so please stay for one picture. Okay, all picture in front of the, one picture please, one photo. Maybe all together. Yeah.
Thank you.
Big group today.